Good afternoon, folks. My name's Toad. You're watching Visordown, and today I am just outside of Bengaluru in India, and I've been testing out a couple of TVS's top-of-the-range sort of premium models out here on a little go-kart track, which has been a hell of a lot of fun. So why am I out here testing some little TVS's when in the UK we don't get TVS-built motorcycles, unless you're buying one of the BMWs that they make, that is? Well, basically, TVS are coming to the UK. They're going to be bringing bikes over to the UK at some point in the not too distant future. Two of those bikes that we expect to be landing is the 310 RTR, which is this naked bike here, and the 310 RR, which is this sports bike over here. A little bit of history about the two bikes, really. There are a couple of models from BMW that we get in the UK, primarily the G310R and the G310 GS. There is also a G310 RR. All of those bikes are built by TVS over here in India, and they are then rebranded as BMW models. So this bike is basically very similar to the BMW G310R, and this one is very similar to the G310 RR that we unfortunately don't get in the UK. So these are bikes that most people will be familiar with. They just won't be familiar with the badging and the branding. But beneath the skin, there are a lot of similarities to be had. Where these bikes differ from the BMW models that we do get in the UK is the level of electronics, because these things are absolutely dripping with electronics, both of them. So you get lean sensitive traction control, lean sensitive ABS, you get launch control on both of them, as well as wheelie control. You got slope descent mode as well to stop the rear lifting when you go down a gear. As you're going down a slope, you've got rear lift control on the brakes as well. They've even got launch control, so they are absolutely chock full of electronics. The RTR, the naked that you can see on my right hand side here, has also got a climate controlled seat, which apparently can heat and cool as you're riding, although I didn't unfortunately get to check that one out. They've both got an interesting feature as well, which is cornering cruise control. So if you're on a twisting road and you don't want to cancel the cruise control, basically the bike reads your lean angle from the IMU and backs off the speed accordingly as you're going around the turns. Obviously, this go-kart track is absolutely hectic. The surface is a bit dusty and very slippery, so we didn't get to test that out. But once they get into the UK market, we will be giving that a go. So what have we got? We've got a 310cc there or thereabouts single cylinder engine. This one pumps out a little bit more power. It's got about 29 horsepower. This one here has got about 27. They both put about the same amount of torque, 27 for this bike and 28 for this one. How have I found them out here on the track? Well, first and foremost, these are both, I know this has got sporty fairing, it's got sort of pseudo clip-on bars, and it looks like a little super sport bike. They're both set up very, very soft for, you know, Indian roads, basically. I don't know if they're going to be adapting that setting for the UK market or stiffening it up for the European market, should I say. But they are very soft bikes, very forgiving handling characteristics to them both. Riding them on track though, I did have to put the almost maximum amount of preload in the rear shock on the RR to get the thing to turn into a corner. Otherwise it was sitting back on the rear wheel and it was very lazy turning in, and if you got on the power any earlier than it was absolutely necessary, it would drift wide. Pumping up the rear shock with some preload helped that, but what I really wanted to do was dive into the forks and change the settings in the forks so there was a bit more compression damping in there. That would have really fine-tuned the handling, and it would have made it a really sweet little handling bike on this track. It was still a lot of fun to ride though. I mean, the pegs are very low. It's very comfortable riding position on this thing, but you do deck the pegs out quite easily, and the gear spacing between first and second is a little bit not very European, I'm going to say. But other than that, all the faults that I've picked with riding it on track, because that's the only place that we've tested them, would make them brilliant little road bikes because they're soft, they're compliant, they've both got torquey little motors, and they're really easy to ride. The clutch is light, the quick shifter on both models is really very good, and I rode the RTR about 3 years ago in Thailand, very similar launch. It was short sessions and it was roasting hot, but I had problems with the quick shifter, so that's been updated now. The quick shifter is much improved. It blips on the downshifts and it matches the revs for you very nicely indeed. So, I mean, they're both fun bikes. They're both coming into the UK market, and like a lot of the Indian and the Chinese made bikes that are coming into the UK and Europe at the minute are going to be extremely competitively priced. I think if you convert the Indian price for this bike into GB pounds, I think it comes in at under £3,000, I think around about 2,600 quid, which is absolutely cheap as chips. And I'm not trying to say that's what this will cost when they come to the UK, because there's going to be export costs, the government are going to tax them to the hilt, but they are probably still going to be very cost effective when you compare them and benchmark them to the bikes from Honda, the bikes from KTM, and the other middleweight sort of A2 naked and sports bikes that are out there on the market. So the big question, if I was going to ride one and I was going to take one home, which one would I be taking home? And it would be this one, just because the riding position is so accommodating, and actually on the track, it felt like a more complete bike than the RR did, which is counterintuitive because this has got sort of clip-on bars, it's got the fairing, it's got the racy looks, and you expect it to be the more focused and the more composed bike on track. But I didn't find that, and I think it's down to this bike being one of TVS's special made to order bikes, which has got fully adjustable suspension. It's got sort of different settings in the front suspension and the rear suspension. Just gave it a lot more composure. You felt a lot more precise on this one than I did when I was riding this one. And I also think, and this is probably something that you can read into from the UK market and you know, the sort of bikes that we buy in this sort of A2 middleweight segment, we do go for the naked bikes. We go for the KTM Duke 390s and we go for that kind of thing. And I think this, when it comes to the UK, if TVS can price it as competitively as it is priced out here, I think a lot of people who aren't just centered around following a brand, so they're not completely loyal to a brand and they just want to go out and buy a bike and they want to get the most amount of bike for their money, I think this could give some of the established names in the UK market a run for its money. I don't think this will probably sell that well just because of the market for sports bikes in the UK isn't quite where it is in other parts of the world. Well, listen, folks, I've had an absolutely blinding time out here in India. It's been a great little launch. We also had a look around TVS's Indian manufacturing facility. We also got some sneaky peek in their engine building department. They had a V4 1200cc engine. So this is TVS's factory, and TVS bought Norton. So I wonder where that V4 engine could be ending up. It was lined up next to some parallel twins and some other bits and bobs. So yeah, it's been a really eye-opening launch. TVS facility is absolutely not what I expected from an Indian manufacturing plant. Super clean, runs like the ultimate well-oiled machine. So it's been a very interesting trip. We will keep you posted on when these are going to be landing. We'll keep you posted on what the UK specs are going to be, because they might tweak them for the UK market. And most importantly, we will fill you in on what the price is when they land in the market. Listen, folks, if you've liked that video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of Visordown's latest videos. And for all the latest news, reviews and motorcycle features, get yourself over to visordown.com.